Hello everyone, I'm Bilal Ahmed, and as from the platform of Knowledge Inception, I welcome Mr. Hanzala Malik, former member of Scottish Parliament and currently councillor for Glasgow City, which is twin city of Lahore. So first of all, I would like to ask about your background, your roots, your childhood, and about the times you have grew up in, sir.
Well, my background is that I was born in Glasgow. My mother is Scottish. My father was from Pakistan. He's passed away now. So I'm from mixed heritage. And I've spent some childhood in Glasgow and some in Lahore as a child also. And also as an adult, I've spent some years in Pakistan. So I have some cultural background from Pakistan as well.
So, talking about your political career, what type of struggles you have faced? How did you sort of earn this place in Glasgow, in Scotland, sir?
Well, first of all, I didn't want to be a politician. It was not a career of choice. My father was very keen that I take part in politics because he came from a political family in Pakistan. So he put me into politics while I was being dragged and kicking. However, my local MP also felt that I would be a good councillor to start off with because I did a lot of work in the community. And between my ex-MP and my father, they decided that they will get me into politics, in which they did eventually.
That's pretty amazing, sir. So, had you ever felt unaccepted or discriminated by your colleagues or society because of your roots, background, or even your religion?
Well, I think you experience that throughout the world. Um, Remember, although I'm from a mixed heritage, my mother is Scottish, so half of my ancestors are Scottish. Despite that fact, anybody that's different is a minority, and as a minority, we all face various challenges as a minority. So there were challenges on its way, but I think I took as much as I gave out as well. I stood my ground. I wasn't a typical Asian or typical minority person who'd come to migrated to UK. Because I was born here, I felt I had some sort of a loyalty and responsibility and some rights as somebody that was born here, as do the minorities in Pakistan, for example. People born and brought up in Pakistan who are from minority communities. They also feel that they're Pakistanis and they have a right to Pakistan.
So do you feel that anyone who goes from here, from Pakistan, for now, who does not have a background primarily from such a country, a broad country, so would he feel some type of discrimination or like an acceptance?
I think he or she, anybody that comes to any country in the world, will find a limited amount of discrimination. But I think the world has moved on. People are now more aware, they're more educated, and both sides of people receiving discrimination or people who are perpetrating discrimination, both have now reached levels of a bit of better understanding and of what they can and can't do, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So I think the days have changed from people being outright racist to quite, how can one put this, educated or even limited racism. But it happens. It happens throughout the world, and it'll happen in, I'm sure, in my sunny Glasgow as well.
That's explained. All right, sir. So I've heard that Glasgow and Lahore are known as twin cities. We have read that, and Glasgow have been a sibling of Lahore since 2006. So how is that? I mean, what makes them siblings?
Well, it was a wish of myself and, of course, my mother, who spent some time in Lahore. She fell in love with Lahore, and since I'm in politics and I represent all the communities, and there is a small section of my constituency that has Pakistanis in it, I felt a twinning between Lahore and Glasgow would be a good one. So in 2004, I had the honor of twinning an MOU with the then Nazim Amir Mahmood. And Mr. Ahmed Mahmood and his team were very professional in not only signing the MOU, but actually then going on to do the twinning in 2006. As a result of that, very many good projects have taken part in Pakistan. And we both, Glasgow and Pakistan, have been beneficiaries of such a twinning arrangement.
So we have seen I have seen your efforts in launching the rescue bikes in Lahore and Punjab, and your contributions in hospitals also. So usually what happens is there is a particular event in one's lives that just provokes one to work on certain task. So what made you to think through this perspective and launch such an initiative? How did just it come up to you, sir?
Well, I witnessed throughout my life a lot of people collecting money in particular for projects in Pakistan. And far many of them were not really delivering on the promise that they were making people. And I felt that that was very unfair and unreasonable. So I wanted to find a way of working in Pakistan which would be beneficial, but also it would meet the target. It needs to be transparent. It had to be honest. I think people have moved on in Pakistan as well as in this country. When somebody makes a donation, they expect that donation to be spent where it's for. So the only way we could find transparency was if we worked with established agencies. So people like the hospitals and fire and rescue service and other services who are providing services in Pakistan, working through them and their good offices meant that there would be transparency in any contribution that we would make, and it would be a valuable one. I mean, the motorbikes, as you've mentioned quite rightly, is a success story for Lahore. In fact, for all of Punjab now. And I'm actually quite proud because we in Glasgow don't have that service, whereas you do. So you're a step ahead of us. Um, okay, we may have been involved in it, but end of the day, it's your young men and women who are delivering the service, and we feel very proud about that. And same with hospitals, and we have a very valuable exchange program running with the Sick Children Hospital, where doctors and senior consultants come and go and visit each other, and we learn from each other, and that's very valuable, rather than people collecting money and half of it not reaching its destination.
So do you think that I mean settling in Pakistan and then having a keen account of every aspect precisely would be more beneficial than being abroad and being at distance, and to have a check of developmental work from a distance? There be any lag?
Well, I think with technology that we have today, I mean, you're 7,000 miles away this morning and you're talking to me. Despite our small challenges, we've made a connection, we're speaking to each other. And I don't really think that one needs to live in a country. I've been in the UK for the last 30 years. I make visits every year. And year on year, I see improvements in Pakistan, in the infrastructure as well as in its economy, as well as its educational institutions. So the things are happening. One doesn't have to live in the country to achieve those goals. If you can, it's probably better. But I think sometimes it gives us an additional opportunity to do more if we can, if one can put it that way.
That's pretty inspiring. All right, sir. Let's assume that you have been given a chance to be chief minister of a province of Pakistan. What primary reforms would you be enforcing initially? What implementations do you think one can pave a way for Pakistan to be directed to the road of development?
That's a huge responsibility you're putting on my shoulders. One who's never had that opportunity, so it's a challenge in itself. But I can tell you that it doesn't matter what surface you scratch in Pakistan, there is room for improvement. And I usually say to my friends and colleagues that, all you have to do is just ensure that an ordinary motorbike has a bulb on it at night. That in itself would save thousands of lives. I remember as a child when I would travel to Pakistan, horse and carts would have lights on them, buses and trucks would have lights on them, and now they don't. We seem to have slipped back for some reason, and health and safety is a very important element because a lot of people who are on the road are usually the breadwinner of the family, and their safety is paramount. Yet, it's just small steps. This doesn't cost anything to the government to spend money on. We have a lot of checkpoints, and all the police officers have to do is pull over bikes or vehicles and say, listen, you don't have any lights showing, so you're not taking this vehicle till it's fixed. Just to park it up here. I can assure you that all these excuses about people don't have money will evaporate. People will find money if they're encouraged to do so.
Yes, sir. That's pretty much explained, very precisely explained. All right. So, lastly, not taking your time out, what message would you want to convey through our platform? What would you recommend us, the struggling youth, how to pursue studies, how to cope up with challenges in life, and how would be more compatible with their surroundings, with the challenges in the surroundings?
I think what's very important is that one must understand that whatever you do in life, most of you become good at that. So if you're an athlete, if you train regularly, you will become fitter. If you study regularly, you become good at your studies. So whatever you touch, if you put your heart and mind and your soul into it, you will succeed. There is nothing that you cannot do. As a youth, you have the world is your oyster. It's up to you. You can either watch TV all day and play a game, or you can pick up a book and study it. You can either go out and become a gymnast, or you can just laze around and not do anything. The choices are ours. I see the youth in Pakistan coming along leaps and bounds. I used to remember when I used to go to Pakistan and visit relatives, and everybody would be there. And I used to say to myself, does nobody work? I mean, has everybody got free time? Now it's different. Now when I go to Pakistan, I'm struggling to find people who are at home because most people are working or they are engaged in meaningful tasks. And I think that's encouraging. So I think the youth are of Pakistan. They have very high aspirations, not only from themselves and their peers, but even their politicians. So the expectation from the youth are far greater than it has been historically for a long time in Pakistan. So I think Pakistan has its challenges, and the youth are going to bring about that change, inshallah.
Inshallah, sir. Inshallah. So we appreciate your work in Pakistan and what you have done for us. Uh, we need such an experienced politician having a broader mindset, and we direly need such people for our development, for our care. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.